All right, guys, part 4, tool shed. Looking out the window here. Let's make sure my tools work because they sometimes don't whenever I start screencasting. Okay, we're good. So let's look. Here's your shed. This is you at the end of part 3, except for this window section. So notice the location. If your doorway's here, we're looking at the wall to the right if you rotate, and the distance is from there over. So our doorway, and then our window is down the next wall to the right. Okay, and this is our finished product. Finished product, if you can read that there, it's 11, 8 3/4 from the end of the wall to the inside of the window. Let me look at this window, nice and color coded, makes life easy. And we're even going to turn off some of the stuff we got going on, the busyness. There we go, makes it a little easier to see. So we've got the distance to the inside of that window, and then its height from the ground is 3 feet. However, notice this says 210.5 because it's easier to measure from the top of the plate. And if you take away the 1.5 of thickness on that plate, then it makes it 210.5 from that distance. That's what I measured because it's easier to measure from the corner. There's no corner down below to really grab from the subfloor, so I found that easier. Notice that it measures to the top of the sill. You can't see it because of the red, but it goes up here to the top. That's the 210.5 where the window opening starts. The window width is 3 feet from the inside edge to inside edge. Okay, and those are the jack studs, remember, just like the doorway. So the inside is a jack stud, outside of that is a king stud, and then outside of that are just the regular studs. Now notice this triple is not because we need that for some reason on a window. It just happened that when you have a 16-inch span, this single stud here was pretty much right inside of where the king stud is. So rather than remove it, because that would have actually given us about a 17-inch gap, which would be out of code, we just shift that over, and now we have less than 16 here, so we're within code, and then we can put our king and our jack. Depending on how your wall was set up and how you measured, you may not have that, and that's okay. If you don't have that third stud there, it's fine. If you do, it's fine as well. So let's look. This window is pretty much just like the doorway. Your header is going to go up against your king stud. Your jack stud is below the header supporting it. Your header is a 2x6. I forgot to mention that in the assignment. I need to go put that in. It's a 2x6 just like the doorway, and you've got a double there. Okay. You've got cripple studs that go above your header. And the additional new thing with a window is that you also have cripple studs below the window, and the new addition here of a sill plate. That's just the bottom of the window frame. The top of the window, its height is that it's 1 foot 6 inches or 18 inches from the top of the wall, which I'm taking as the top of the studs there, to the opening of the window. So notice all your dimensions are to the inside edge of the window. That's both from the edge of the wall over, that's where how far over it is to start, from the bottom plate to the bottom of the window, the width of the window, and the top of the window. They're all to the inside edge. And then your structure is the same for the most part as the doorway, and you need to label all that vocab. You've got king studs, jack studs, header, 2 headers technically, and a cripple. Okay, cripple studs. There's 4 of them here. You can just label 1. I color coded because it makes life a lot easier. Feel free to do that if you want. I'm not requiring it, but it does make things a little cleaner and easier. It looks kind of good. Sill plate. It is a 2x4, and notice it's spanning across. So it's not how we typically make most of our 2x4s. Like these headers are on end. That makes them structurally much stronger to support weight. The sill plate is the other direction. It's kind of laying horizontally. And that's okay because it's just there to support the window. It's not holding up any actual force of the house. The cripples and the sill plate are just there to support the window and the walls structurally. And that's it. So let's build it. It should be pretty quick and easy after building your doorway. Okay, so here we go. And before, of course, we can do anything, we got to figure out where it goes. So let's get the assignment right here. And we're just going to go right down the list. From the edge, wall edge to the window, 11 foot, 8 3/4. So let's go. And if you measure from the corner to make guides, it will not give you the dotted line. You have to go from an edge. So from here, we'll go 11, 8 3/4. Notice we want it to be green, so it goes the right direction. 11, 8 3/4. Okay, find that dotted line, and you don't see it because all the guides are turned off. It's getting kind of messy in here. When I turn them back on, they're everywhere. So we're just going to have to kind of, oh my gosh, nope, that's not going to work. And I know an easy way to fix that, though. We're just going to grab and move that entire structure out and away from all these other guides because that's super messy. There we go. Now we don't have to worry about it. Let's just draw our guides again. 11, 8 3/4. There's our guide. So that's going to be where we start work. So this, we know that this stud's going to move over out of the way. That's the door, that's the window. So we know it's not going to be there anymore. And right here to this edge would be right where the jack stud goes. That's the inside edge of the window. So I'm going to place that there, and then I'm going to move it again 1.5 inches further. And now it's right where my king stud is going to go, and my jack stud will go right next to it momentarily. So that makes it kind of easy. So I know I can add a jack stud right there. And if we look at my dimensions, 3.5 by 1.5, perfect. And we'll leave him there for now. We'll eventually pull that up to the correct height, but now we have our king and our jack stud. And now we'll go do some more setup. Bottom of the window to the bottom plate. Bottom of window from bottom plate. So it's 2 10.5 from the bottom plate. So again, we'll take another guide, and we'll notice here, this is running horizontally across the bottom of the subfloor. You want it to be blue. Now it's a vertical line, 2 10.5. There you go. So there's the guide. And to be honest, I'm going to redo it. I find that they're much more helpful if they're on the inside of the stud. I'm trying to build that habit. They're hard to kind of read if they're in open space across the front of the studs. They're much easier if you can just see them on the stud. Right there. So now that guy is, remember, this is the bottom of the window. So the 2x4 that we put in here, we put in place, will go across and then down. Now notice this. This is following the guide. This is in horizontal open space. We don't want that. We want it going down the wall. We're going to pull it across. And I see my dimensions say 3.5 first. So then I'm going to do 3.5, 1.5. And there's my 2x4. Okay. And I realize I just put it in an unnecessary place. It should be on this side over here after we bring the jack stud up. That's actually not a useful place for it because I've got to span across the width. So I guess you guys can learn from my mistakes and see how to recover them as well. I'm going to go ahead and, you know what, I'm just going to delete that because I think it's going to be a waste of your time to follow me through mistakes. So let's not do that first. We'll leave that guide for now, but let's do the across so we know where to put the new jack stud. Its width is 3 feet, so let's do that first. Here we go. So we can see at this point, that's the other side of the window. So this guy, I'm going to make that my new king stud. So I'm going to put it there and then move it another 1.5 past that. And then this guy just has no reason to exist anymore. So he's gone. And there's my new jack stud right there. And we should see 1.5 by 3.5, which we do. Okay, so there's our jack studs. So we've got the location of our window. There's our 2 jacks. There's our 2 king studs. Let's make our headers. because that's how high we're going to pull the jack stud. That's probably the best way. I should have gone about that from the beginning. It's 18 inches from the top of the wall. So let's now work our way down. And this here, let's even do this. I'll help you out with this as well so you see what we're looking at. This guy and this guy, we're just going to color those. Those are going to become our king studs. We'll make them red. Okay, so now we know red is our king studs. And if your orbit is too sensitive, I've found that if you select something, it can help. It can help your orbit kind of figure out where you want to go. So now we're going to run a guide down the edge of the wall, and it is, I already forgot, 18 inches. So there's the top. Now that's the opening of the window, which means when we draw the header, we want to be above it. Okay, the header's going to go above it because that's, let's see, it's not drawing correctly. Let's do that again. You know what? I think it is drawing correctly and we just can't see it because our header's red. And I'm going higher. And I don't know what's going on. I'll try to draw it and we'll see what happens. Okay, there we go. So it did work. There's my 2x4, and I just realized it should be higher, but I'm just gonna fix that after it's a 2x4, it should be a 2x6. That's an easy fix. So we'll run that header across. Boy, my orbit is kind of a pain. Okay, there's our header. Right now it's a 2x4. So I'm going to bring that 3.5 up to 5.5, which is just adding 2 inches. So now it's at 5.5. Don't forget to group it. And then we'll go ahead and texture it. I think it's this color that I'm using for this stuff. And you know what? I color coded it all, so I'll just color code again. We'll make our headers green, and then we're going to do a move copy for our second header. Okay, there's our headers, there's our king studs. Now we have somewhere we can pull the jack studs up to, and then we can group those jack studs. Don't forget they need to be grouped. That guy looks like he already was. So we'll pull those up. There's one. There we go. I don't know what's going on there, but it's fixed. Okay, so now we've got our jack studs as well. We'll color code those guys. Let's pick something else. Okay, so at this point, we've got our king studs red, our jack studs are purple, our header is green. So now we just need to put in our bottom sill plate and then some cripples on the bottom, cripples on the top, and we're pretty much done. So our sill plate is 10.5 from the bottom. Now we've got somewhere to measure from, so we'll measure inside of this. Okay, that tells me that might not have been grouped. And let's recolor that guy. Now that he is a group, it should all together be one thing. And now we'll measure 10.5 from the bottom. Okay, there we go. And you can see we already have a guide right there. And again, this is the opening of the window, which means when we start that rectangle, it needs to go below that so that that 210.5 reaches to the edge of the window. So the 2x4 shouldn't be part of that calculation. That's the opening of the window starting at that guide point. So again, 3.5 by 1.5. Now notice the dimensions in the corner right below my face. It already says 3.5 comma, and then it's not quite 1.5. You can, if you like one of the dimensions on the square you've drawn and you only need to adjust the second one, for instance, I want to adjust the second calculation of this rectangle, I can just hit comma, don't hit a space or it'll exit the rectangle tool. And then just type 1.5, and it will take whatever was already there for the first, add that for the second dimension, and you're good to go. So it's a shortcut for your rectangles. All right. There's our cell. Make it a group, give it a new color. I don't think we've used teal yet. And there we go. We've got our sill. Now we just got to put in our cripple plates. Or cripple studs, excuse me. So remember, they have to be 16s. 16s on center. So if I pick a point to measure out and I do 16 inches, I see that that's almost halfway across. So if I did another 16-inch from the other side, it would probably come all the way out to here. So I need 2 cripple studs to have a minimum of 16 or a maximum of 16 between each. But I don't think I'm going to put them right next to each other in the center. That'll look a little bit off. So I'll probably draw them and then just put them at roughly the 1/3, 2/3 point. It really doesn't matter where they're at as long as they're below that 16-inch maximum, then you're fine. And again, it says 3.5 comma, so I'm only going to fix that second, and I think I just did what I told you. It exited my tool. So comma 1.5, there we go. Group it, pick a color for all the cripples. That just sounds wrong. Let's pick something other than what we've already been using for a color. How about that? Okay, we'll just move and copy this guy. And again, since we're below 16s, it doesn't really matter where they're at technically. I'm just going to roughly say the 1/3 spot. Like the 2/3 spot. And as long as nothing is more than a 16-inch, it doesn't matter. And there you go. Now we just need to do the same thing on the bottom. So I'm just going to grab one of those guys and actually just do a move copy on this guy as well. And just, it's the same distance. I'm just going to shoot for the 1/3, 2/3, and then just push, pull it up. Okay, and this, a lot of people, I've seen this where kids are doing stuff like this. That shadow tells you your cripple stud is inside the sill plate. That's not good. That can't happen in the real world, so don't have it happen in your SketchUp. There we go. And then do a move copy, and we are done. Make sure we're just kind of roughly 1/3, 2/3. We're below our 16-inch minimum, and there you go. There's your doorway. We've got our king stud, our jack stud, our header with cripples, and our sill plate with cripples. All we need to do now, after we get rid of all those stinking guides, is put our dimensions in to verify we're correct on everything, and we're done. Dimensions in vocab. Okay, pick a corner down here at the end. Any corner will do. Pick one that you've got a corresponding point you can attach to, and notice the inside of the jack stud is the beginning of the window. So that's what you want to pick. And there we go. I'm getting in the habit of enlarging all of the measurements. I make them 18, just makes them easier to read. And there's our 11, 8 3/4. I might even delete a stud out to make that easier to read, but that one's correct, so just keep going. Okay, there's our 3 foot there from the bottom of the sill plate to, now see right there, I can't do the measurement there because the only corner I can find is the bottom of the sill. It will not snap to right there, even though it's what I want. So I have to reset that and do a corner measurement. So I've got somewhere to snap to, and there's our 210.5 to the actual opening of the window, 3 feet across the actual opening of the window, and then one more up at the top. And again, I need to go where there's corners, so go over here, and then you can drag it out to the center. And there's our 18-inch. And anytime you have these, I just go to the line tool, start a line somewhere, and then escape out, and those disappear. And somehow I deleted away one of my subfloor. And if something like that happens to you, super easy fix. Take this guy and just do a move copy, and he'll slide right over. There you go. And you want to go 2 spans of 4 feet, which is 8 feet. There you go. That was easy. Okay, so we're pretty much done here. We need vocab, and that's it. Some folks are having trouble with vocab, so I'll walk this out. But you guys should be able to do all these without me at this point. I don't even know what just happened. A cripple. So I'm going to put it on the wall till it goes horizontal, like against the wall like that. Now I'm going to zoom in on this guy, and obviously it's way too big. Scale tool, which is S on the keyboard. Grab the corner, drag it down to the size you want it to be. Okay. Now I'm going to hit my rotate tool, which the shortcut is Q, and just go attach rotate. It's easier on the corner. I want to rotate it with the red circle. I want the circle on the front. Single click to start it, single click on the edge, and then just rotate it. Right there is perfectly vertical. Now M for move. I'm going to grab the back corner because I want it kind of flush on the front of the cripple. And I'm just going to stick it right next to right there. And then I'm going to color code it because it makes life easy. And boom, there you go. Now it's super easy to tell what the cripples are because they're all color coded the same. And now we just carry that out for all the other stuff, all the other pieces. And I'm going to put the header here on the center because that looks where it should go. And I'm going to move the measurement I made because it's kind of hard to see that measurement going through the word. So if you just click on the dimension tool, you can grab and drag and move those. And now both the word and the dimension are easily legible. And we're on our way. Hopefully you guys are seeing this is fairly easy. It's just like anything else. You just need practice, and then it gets pretty easy to do. That orbit is crazy sometimes. So is the zoom. It's ridiculous. That's certainly missized, isn't it? Why don't we fix that? That looks a little better. And sill plate, and we're done. Yeah, and I think we're done, guys. I think all your vocab's there. All your measurements are there. Now, it's easier to read your measurements if you help dress things up. Like if I turn this in like this, Mr. A would not be happy. That's almost impossible to read. That's really difficult to read. That's really difficult to read. Can't even see the 3. It's perfectly aligned in that back plate. So do a little dressing up. Floor joist off, subfloor off. Okay, so I don't have my stuff grouped, which is a bummer. So you want it to look like this. Have things tagged, and then make sure you can turn off your bottom joists, bottom subfloor, do a little rotating, and notice now everything gets much easier to read. Also, these are enlarged up to size 18, so they're very easy to read. And then even you can go here and delete out that plate, or excuse me, that stud. And now this one screenshot shows me everything I need to see. I can see the distance from the edge of the wall to the edge of the window, across the inside of the window, top of the wall, bottom of the wall to the window edges. I can see all the vocab. So this is a very quick and easy 100% A. Okay. Make life easy. Take a minute and dress up this screenshot. I can see that your window's on the correct wall next to your front door. We're all good to go. That would be an ideal screenshot. All right. Peace out.